Hello. Welcome to the Run Amok Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Run Amok Podcast, home to the best Bachelor recaps on this side of the Bachelor Mansion. As always, I'm your host, David Stahl, and I'm joined alongside me today by not two, but one loyal compadre, producer Gary, to break down the latest drama from our favorite franchise. No Carson Cooper today. He's got boyfriend duties, which, given what we're covering, we really have no choice but to respect.
Yeah,
however,
can never say no to that. There's no chance.
I'm still armed with my original loyal compadre, producer Gary. How's it going, my man?
It's going good. Ready to dive in.
Ready to dive
Actually,
in.
I don't know if I'm ready to dive in. I'm ready to say some stuff though.
You read my mind, my man.
Yeah.
A lot of Shanae this episode. Before we dive into anything, a lot of Shanae. That was pretty much what this episode was. It was a little look inside the twisted, weird mind of a woman who's slowly sliding towards insanity. If I'm being honest, we're watching
and it's
a
no
villain origin story
that we have wanted her off the show pretty much since she came on.
Yes,
and we said it last week. If she continues to be on the show, that'll be too much. We just need to get rid of her, and she's sticking around till next episode at least. So.
Okay, so I am very curious, and I want to get into this discussion. I think we're going to tackle it near the end of the pod.
Yeah.
That's what we in the business call a teaser. But I'm very curious as to your thoughts. Maybe you can let it marinate throughout the episode, how long you think she's going to stay. Because I have some thoughts, and I'm not too happy about what I'm going to predict. I'm not saying it because I want it to be true. I'm saying it because I think we might be in for a little more Shanae in our lives for a few more weeks. But that being said, we got to kick it off with a little bit of housekeeping. First things first, guys, if you're watching this, we ask one thing each episode. Well, one thing. I'm gonna be honest, I'm about to list 5 things.
It's like your roses and thorns. There's one, but
we pick one highlight of the episode, and then we pick 8 sub highlights as well. Yeah. So, guys, but we are going to ask you to rate and review the show on Spotify or iTunes. Even if you're not listening on there, if you're watching this on YouTube, just head over to iTunes, head over to Spotify, give us that 5-star rating. You can do it on both now. Helps us out a ton. But what helps us out even more than that is just bringing in Bachelor Nation together. Tap that friend on the shoulder. Ask your mom, hey, mom, you into podcasts yet? I know you love The Bachelor. Hey, maybe these guys are the podcast for you. Share us around if you're enjoying the show. We also love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. So if you agree with us, throw it down below. If you disagree, throw it down below as well. And we would love to hear your thoughts. That being said, Gary, we have a lot to cover. We have a lot to cover this episode. So let's dive right in. We start off hot with, look, the Shanae drama continues. It was funny to frame this very important aspect of the season. Important. We obviously hate it, but it seems to be a pillar of what's been going on so far through Clayton's season. Mm-hmm. But who do we have to frame the situation? Hunter? I'm sorry. This is like the Kiki Palmer meme where she's going, I'm sorry to this man. I have no idea who this is. I'm sorry, Hunter. I honestly thought you were a producer when you first popped up on the screen. It's just shows, though. We've seen so much of Shanae, Gary.
We don't know anyone else.
We don't know, like, half the girls.
Yeah. But they still, even though we don't know all the girls, they still could have picked a better person to frame the whole situation with. Anybody. They could have picked anybody, and it would have been better than Hunter. I think Hunter's the only girl that I don't know her name.
Yeah.
When you said it, I was like, I don't even know who that is.
Well, here's a hint. She's blonde. But
could have guessed.
What I will say is this cast is actually, because we always joke, I don't know anyone's names. Not really a joke. I'm super bad with names to start a season. But there are a lot of contenders.
That's what I'm saying is when we got to the latter half of this episode, when we get like the middle area kind of, when we got less Shanae, I was like, this is a great cast of women that we have.
Yeah.
Here. It's just being clouded over, unfortunately, by this big gray fucking mass that is Shanae. But
of course, and we'll get into that as well. We obviously see Rachel have a great date. There are good moments throughout, but again, it's getting overshadowed. We didn't even get to see the other one-on-one come to fruition. We just see it vaguely named, and then we forget about it forever. I am horrible. Serene. Oh my God, dude. I drafted this girl as my first pick. I can never remember her name, which is not maybe a good sign for how far she's going to go. But no, I think Serene is a fantastic contestant. And we see her get the one-on-one, not even a part of this episode because it's the Shanae show. So let's dive in a little bit to before the rose ceremony, the cocktail party. Unbelievable. We're back in the shrimp gate. The big crux of it this week was Elizabeth in the hot tub or not? To fact check, she was in the hot tub. I'm being honest, I went back, I checked because I was curious. I was very curious. Mm-hmm. She was, but at the same time,
does it matter?
what Marlena said, and spoiler alert, my rose, one of them is going to Marlena because she's incredible throughout the whole episode. If you don't know, that's the Olympian. We've been obsessed with her since day one. 10 out of 10 personality. But she pretty much frames and goes, we were all full from your shrimp, Elizabeth. That's why no one took Shanae's shrimp. And so I don't think it was an issue of Elizabeth lying. I think she's a lovely woman who just literally didn't realize that Shanae was there. No one heard her. Yeah. It feels dumb. Dude, it feels so dumb that we're even talking about it.
It does. It really does. Even in the moment when I was watching it live, I was like, seriously? Like, this is the hill you're going to die on? Whether Elizabeth was in the hot tub or not? Like, why is that your argument? I don't, like, it's because she has nothing else to argue. That's why. But
yeah. And we're not calling the show dumb. We love drama. But this, anyone has to admit, this is exceptionally juvenile and pointless.
Yeah.
Like, and you can see Clayton during that conversation. He just looks so demoralized. He's staring straight ahead. He's getting talked from both sides. They're just going back at it. They start getting more and more patronizing. Oh, sweetie, it's so pathetic that you think that. And then the other one tops it and goes, oh, sweetie, oh, I feel so bad for you. And he just finally goes, I need a second. Yeah. I gotta leave this situation. And I mean, again, I mentioned it before. Genevieve, we see her get the 2-on-1 invitation later in the episode, or maybe it was in the preview for next week. But oh boy, she is furious at this situation. She very much reminds me of the Aaron character from KD season. Obviously, we love
that's
Aaron.
Funny because I saw a lot of people saying Sierra and Aaron are very similar.
Yeah.
But they're both in the same.
But the pure anger I see from Genevieve is really what I compare to Aaron, who that mouth could really open up and allow some rage to project from it. Same with Genevieve. But then we dive into the rose ceremony. I feel bad for a lot of the girls, if I'm being honest. Jill in particular, poor Jill. Every time we see her, she's just getting bodied.
She's like, every confession. I've never gotten time. I can't even.
It's just her reminding us that, like, hey, I haven't met the Bachelor yet. Like, she's pretty much telling the producers, like, would you mind introducing me at some point? Because he seems to think I work for craft services. Like, I think at some point Clayton gave Jill his plate and be like, thanks so much. I appreciate that. Can I get a bottle of water? Like, as she's coming in to steal them.
Definitely.
I don't know if they've talked once. And they don't get to talk again. She does somehow make it through to the next week. I almost hope that she would get sent home just to put her out of her misery at this point.
Yeah, but I don't know. They got to keep her. They got to meet at some point.
They got to meet at some point.
They have to.
Yeah.
And then she'll get sent home immediately after. But
I'd like to see Jill on Paradise. Like, I don't know. She's pretty. She has a real job. Just that's all I can really say.
Yeah, like
very unfortunate circumstances.
Not her season.
But speaking of not her season, speaking of unfortunate circumstances, we're at the rose ceremony, Gary. Elizabeth goes home, and Shanae stays.
Yeah.
So this time they nailed the teaser.
Before we get into that, I want to just take back every good thing I've ever said about Clayton back. Last episode, I was saying he was making progress, that he was getting better, but I want to take it all back right now.
Dude,
I never said any of it.
I can't believe how. Yeah. So this is what I'll say. We rip on Peter Weber as a bachelor all the time. I think Clayton has better intentions. I think Clayton truly wants to find his wife and have children. And maybe that's just because he has that great Midwestern, he's a likable guy to me. He has that great Midwestern wholesome energy. Maybe I'm just blindly assuming that. I think he has better intentions than Peter, but he is so blind. Dude, he is so... And I don't find her... I'm not trying to like rate the looks of contestants. I cannot find Shanae attractive in the slightest because I know her personality. Yeah. But looking from his perspective, I guess if he doesn't know at all what we know, it's just a pretty blonde woman in front of him, and that's blinding him.
Well, but he's just insane. He's the definition of a golden retriever, right? Like whoever gives him the most attention is gonna win his heart. Like that's all it takes. It doesn't. You don't need to be a good person. Like sure, if he saw the stuff Shanae was doing, maybe it'd be a different story. But he doesn't get to see that stuff. So she's just showing up, and that's all that matters.
Crazy. I couldn't agree more. And Elizabeth, I mean, justice for Elizabeth. This is crazy, dude. It makes you think, like, it's crazy even think back this far. But did this all start because just Elizabeth chose to sit beside him at that group date? Like, if it was Sierra, if it was Marlena, if it was Mary sitting beside him at that group date, is that who she would have targeted?
I think so. Yeah.
I think this is literally
runs that deep.
It just snowballed from there. I mean, she's we said last week, she belongs in the loony bin. She's a nut bar. So I honestly think that it could have been anyone. Elizabeth just happened to accidentally step in the crosshairs.
It just happened to be the best contestant that we had.
I think what it's gotta be though, we're blaming Clayton. I think the producers are making her stay. And I think what's happening is Clayton's like, well, if you're going to make her stay and she's an attractive woman,
might as well make out with her.
I may as well make out with her. I mean, she's got to stay anyways. What am I supposed to do? I don't think she's evil.
And the
producers are telling
feel
them
that way. Like, again, we're jumping a little bit ahead, but later on, their chemistry did seem off, but he's still just like, yeah, whatever. If you're here.
Well, I mean, and we'll get there for sure. But I know what you're talking about. Like that initial, reaction when she shows up, it's like,
he's like, what the hell are you doing?
What is going on? What is happening? Insane behavior from Clayton. But that being said, we make it through the rose ceremony. It's the next morning. They're all talking about hopefully the drama's over, blah blah blah. Shanae gives her little, I feel like I can finally be a peace speech. I know this is probably edited, but I like to think the whole room just responded with silence. I'm sure that wasn't the case, but we get shots of everyone pretty much looking at her like,
are you sure? I don't
which hilarious editing job. But we get Jesse Palmer. He walks in the room. He says, guys, we're about to go on an international voyage. We're about to travel the world. First stop, Houston, Texas, baby. And we got some fake cheers in the crowd for sure. You cannot tell me that when you're set up with an international jet setting opportunity.
Well, my head immediately went like, Mexico would have been good.
Visa.
California even within the States. Like, definitely didn't go to Houston. But, Houston's not bad. It's not horrible.
Whatever. I mean, what's the one girl's name? This is you thought she'd be Lindsay W. I guess it's her hometown, so she's pumped to be back.
Which normally, like under other circumstances, I'd be like, oh, that's a big dub for her. But I think she's such a nothing contestant at this point. No
offense to Lindsay W. I know she's a fan of the show.
Great person, but she just hasn't got her time, and I don't think her being in her hometown is gonna help her at all.
Hasn't had her time, and I'm gonna go out on a limb, Gary. Don't think she's gonna. I'm comfortable going on record saying that Lindsay W. Not gonna be much of a factor this season. If you're not,
it's too late.
It's too late. There's too much drama. You've missed out on your intro time because of the nonsense.
Well, that's the insane part is if you didn't introduce yourself within the first week or two, it's over for you. He has no idea who you are. He'll never know who you are. Because of Shanae.
But before we even get into a group date, we get the one-on-one announcement. And who is it other than Rachel?
Yeah.
Now, little insight into our private lives.
I was going to bring this up if you didn't.
Yeah, a little bit. Old Davey's in trouble. Old Davey's in trouble. For those who follow the pod for a long time, I have a little bit of a problem with betting. Not really. I can't help it. Can't really help it. Not really supposed to be betting. When it comes to reality shows, that's my weakness because it feels different than sports betting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because you get to know these people, and you're like, I know who she is. I know who.
But that's what every gambling addict justifies it with. It's like, oh, I know the teams, I know the games better than anyone. This is a surefire win. Essentially, I bet a friend nothing much, $50 that, and I have great odds still. He says Rachel's going to win it, locked it in. I said Susie, Serene, and Sarah, which are 3 powerhouse contestants. I still feel very comfortable in that. Mm-hmm. But he said Rachel's going to win it. So if my 3 win it, I get $50. If Rachel wins it, he gets $50. If no one outside of that 4 wins it, which I don't think that'll happen, no one gets it. Yeah. But this, I felt comfortable last week. I'm quite nervous.
Well, when he said that, you're like, bold take.
And then he also said, he goes, oh, it's locked in. She's winning. She's the hottest, and she's got a real time. It's like, well, okay, dude, come on. Hey, spoiler alert, there's 30 beautiful women on the show. Yeah. So, again, I didn't see it maybe as clear cut last week, but hey, it was a great episode for Rachel. Lots of salty ladies during the one-on-one announcement, but Rachel and Clayton are cute together. What can I say? Rachel, they have a really neat conversation where she talks about how she cares about her career. This is one of the very few genuine moments of the episode. Her and Clayton talk about like, oh, she's been asked to sacrifice her career in the past. She has a very cheesy line that I don't mind, but she loved, where he goes, I would never want to dull your shine. And she quotes that back to us later. They stumble upon a
family in the woods.
Asian family's barbecue in the woods. Was that scripted? I couldn't
100%.
tell.
Again, they're mic'd up. Like,
fair.
Producer aspect, they're mic'd up. Maybe they stumbled upon him and they're like, this is a great addition to the date. Let's mic you guys up. But I don't think so. I think it was scripted.
Okay.
Sure. Weird casting.
Weird vibe.
Just weird.
Weird vibe. That's a weird vibe in terms of like, hey, 3 dudes. More the merrier. I'll take some of your forest meat. Like, okay, but fair. And then Clayton's like, yeah, she really fit in so well with that family. It was like, well, why do you give a shit? It's not your family.
Yeah.
It's not like, what?
You also just met them.
Kind of done. Like, she's a nice person. Really couldn't matter less if she fits in with that family. Yeah. But they seemed very hospitable, and it went well. We get a obscure Bachelor band alert, Restless Road.
Yeah.
One of my least favorites.
My favorite part is when the girl or the guy that's on the one-on-one date has to do the confessional, and they're like, I was so excited that we got to see Restless Road perform live. It's like, okay, how much did you get paid to say that?
I would love sometime if like they say the name wrong and they have to dub it over. Like, it was so great to see Restless Road at the concert. Like, it is so, I loved it. Like, Rachel, you don't know who these guys are, but it was a nice moment, great date. How would you rate it out of 10 in terms of a first one-on-one date?
I think it was like an 8 out of 10. I think it went really well. I think Rachel was definitely not on my radar before this, and now she's pretty high up there. Obviously, he's got some other really strong relationships, but I don't know. Their rapport just seemed really like natural. I don't know.
Very natural.
Seemed very, very good. So yeah, Rachel, I think we might be sleeping on her a little bit, but I don't think she's a lock in to win it.
I certainly don't think she's a lock. I mean, but saying anyone's a lock is pretty obviously an absurd statement.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not like, I just mentioned 4 people. Teddy had a solid episode.
Yeah, which I was excited about. Marlena had a solid episode. Like,
don't think Marlena's winning it.
I think
we can both say
she's one of my picks.
She is incredible. She's awesome. Like, I want to see her on Paradise. I just want to see more of her on TV. She is electric. She's electric. That being said, let's just we get the quick little scene before the group date. We'll dive into the football date now. But quick little scene of Shanae. Look, like at this point, she's like a cartoon character villain. Like, she's listening through the walls with her ears. And I guess it's you're gonna have to help me with some names, my man. I know I'm sorry. We got Gabby.
Yep.
We got Genevieve.
Yep.
Sierra.
Sierra.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Serene and Sierra. I'm always wanting to put them together. Yep. But we have Sierra, who we'll get to my thoughts on Sierra when we get to the latter half of the group date, because she's on the right side of history right now. Yeah. But we said it last week. You can check the receipts. How long is she going to be on that right side? Because I know Shanae's obviously the worst. A bit of Mean Girl vibes. Get some Mean Girl vibes from Sierra.
I think these were justified, though.
These were justified,
against Shanae,
and that's fair. Yeah. So let's see if they
I do see where you're coming from.
But I think it's easy to get caught up in the momentum of like, oh, I got rewarded for calling out the villain in this situation. However, I think Sierra is gone at the rose ceremony, absolutely gone, because we don't say why isn't she on the 2-on-1, right? Yeah, and she seemed to be the more vocal of the two. Exactly. So and we don't see anything from her next episode, which I think Clayton, also based off his behavior, is taking Shanae's side once more. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's dive into the group date. Dude, Marlena, man, electric line. I'll quote her a few times throughout this date, but the first one was, "We gonna get their asses," which is I love the energy. That's the energy we need in both men and women on these sports group dates. I need some intensity. Yeah. I saw people sick of the football group date.
I kind of love it. I'm kind of down for it.
I love it as a trope, and I love it even more that they're leaning into it as a trope. Dude, where it's they had the video.
Like that montage of like the past Bachelor Bowls. Yeah, was fantastic, and I'm excited to see it next season. Like, I just keep bringing it back.
Well, you forget just how many times they've done it too, right? Dave. Oh boy, especially the past 5 or 6 seasons of each franchise. I think it's been used in at least 60% of them, which again, I don't know. I guess the critique is it gives no real opportunity to show someone's personality or their commitment for the Bachelor or Bachelorette. But someone also might get tackled really hard.
Yeah. Most group dates aren't giving them the opportunity anyways.
Yeah, I was trying to think, what's a good catalyst for that? I like the stand-up things are often really cringy. The spoken words, people do a Jamie thing sometimes where they just go into a motivational speech. Yeah. Jamie or a Carl sort of move where they twist it, or they turn into a joke. You don't get a lot of genuine interaction until the evening portion of a date. Right. So why not just pander it to me, the viewer? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but I did like it. Hilarious quote from Marlena later as well. I think this is my quote of the episode, but I'll let you decide, maybe Gary, at the end. There's going to be some weaves on the ground. I love that. And Marlena, she lives up to the hype because she's an Olympian. Yeah. You think
it's not fair that she was on a team.
Also, I think they had Sierra as quarterback, which is an absurd move. You literally just give the ball to Marlena, snap it properly, find someone who can snap her the ball, and have her run through everybody like a Mack truck.
It wasn't even people wouldn't even people could have had a 50-yard head start on her, and they still weren't catching her. It just didn't matter. She's so fast.
So fast, and she has an incredible personality and intensity, because she absolutely decks Shanae. And the best part of it is she doesn't even have beef with Shanae at this point. She just is out for blood. She just wants to win.
We saw that in the teaser, I think, Shanae getting decked, and I was like, oh, that's Sierra for sure.
Yeah,
did that. Yeah. No, it wasn't at all. And she kind of got double teamed too, just boom. from both sides. Yeah,
she did, but Marlena, she gets credit for that tackle, and I just love the fact that like, no, I don't have anything to get. Yeah, she's a little bit crazy, but I would have done this. She would have laid the same head out on Sarah
on Gabby,
or Teddy or Gabby. Like she just, it was dub time. Now, I will say we see a little bit of a conversation afterwards in the evening portion of the date before Shanae drops in. Obviously, goes without saying, Marlena's team runs away with it. I think it was 21-0, I think, by the end. It was 7-0 at halftime. They add a couple more touchdowns at the end, run away with it. Clayton becomes aware of the Sierra and Shanae situation with a couple tackles in there. He calls out Sierra at the night portion of the date and says, but you did tackle her when she didn't have the ball, right? And I did like that comeback because it's like, you're telling me, like, I get he is dumb. He's definitely dumb. But you guys keep telling me how bullied, like, you feel by her. Yet I saw you initiate the hard tackle on her, which is like, yeah, if you're going to paint her as the villain, which she is, you got to be smart about it. You can't antagonize her. Like, she's a nut bar. She got mad because someone said they weren't in a hot tub. Just let her be.
She's going to take herself out. Yeah.
She'll take herself. Let her. Oh, you don't have to push it and risk making yourself look like a villain. But I want to go back a little bit just to, and you'll like this, a quick Teddy conversation that they have in the after date. Every conversation between them feels very substantial. I think it helps that he's super into her. She gives another thumbs up to Clayton's smooching. What'd you think about that little interaction there?
I thought it was good. I thought it was actually a pretty good episode for Teddy in particular. But again, I think she needs more. Like she needs that one-on-one or something. Like she needs that little bit more. If she gets a one-on-one, I think then she's a solid draft pick. Like she's going.
I bet my life.
Least, yeah,
I bet my life on her getting a one-on-one.
100%. So once she gets that, then my feelings will be validated and I'll be confident in her as a pick. But she needs more time still. I
think, and we do have some listeners who correct me when I'm wrong, and I love it. So please fact check this if you're able to. I think Abigail from Matt James's season is probably the first person to get a first impression rose and then no one-on-one date. And so I would imagine
so it's unlikely that she won't get one.
Extremely unlikely because they also seem to have a continued connection. It's still early, but and I had written down, look, I hate Shanae. I hate her. I said last week I wasn't going to say I hated her because I didn't know her well enough. I guess I'm a hypocrite because I hate her. I do hate her. I hate everything she stands for. Don't like her at all. Pretty much nothing would change that. But is Sierra a mean girl? I don't know. There's always a bit of a red flag behind becoming the first snitch. And I just don't like, it's a little bit of the tone. It's a little bit
It's tough to tell though because the situation is so ridiculous.
It is absurd.
It's because it's easy to see where Sierra's coming from. Like she's pissed off. She lost her friend Elizabeth for no reason. Like she should have stuck around.
Yeah.
And it's easy to see why you'd get caught up in it. But I think you're right too. Like there's a little bit of mean girl vibes there potentially.
But it seems like you're not convinced, which is fair. Totally fair. I think we got to see where it goes. Well, actually, I think we might actually be both in agreement that we might not see where it goes.
We might not.
But I think she made enough of a name for herself that we'll likely see her on Paradise. She seems to have a very entertaining personality, regardless of whether I think it was a little bit mean or pointed. I was definitely entertained by her throughout. Maybe she won't go home, but that's my prediction at least. Shanae obviously comes into the group date soon after, wearing a dress that she loved. I like the dress. Don't think it worked on her. I will say, I'm not the dress expert. I liked her blue dress. Didn't like the black one on her. It was like kind of a knockoff of one Michelle wore last season. I feel like with the strap across, and
it definitely wasn't worth like saying, oh, I had this amazing dress I wanted to wear, so I thought I'd sneak on this. It wasn't that nice.
Well, it's like you're invading. You're invading a group
If
date.
the
And it
dress
looks
was
like you're going
nicer,
to a
you
club
could validate crashing the group date, but
yeah,
it wasn't.
it to me it looked like a club dress. It's
Yeah,
like this is not cocktail hour. Whatever. I think that was the least of our problems with Shanae in that scenario. She comes up very, like we mentioned, very weird body language from Clayton. And even weirder that he was so like, think about if Sarah crashed a group date or Rachel. I think he would have been really excited. So it seemed very weird for him to then go make out with her. I knew it was coming. We saw it in the preview.
It always comes, yeah. Like,
but I couldn't. I was thinking like, just no.
Yeah.
He lifts her up on the bar, and they start making out. Dude, it's like such an. I know what Carson would be saying if he was here, so I gotta in tribute to him. Such an oaf move, like just such an absolute Neanderthal caveman hormonal mood, where it's like, oh, attractive woman must engage with physically.
He's
like,
a golden retriever. All he needs to hear is the word like, I like you a lot. And then he's like, okay, let's make out like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. Everything else just leaves his mind. And that's all he's focused on. So.
Yeah. And afterwards, dude, we get maybe the most angry Shanae has ever been so far, because she finds out, obviously, hey, they did end up like what she was most afraid of. That's why she came. She figures out Genevieve and Sierra were talking trash about me. So she comes out, and it's bleeped out. It was like 8 bleeped words in a row. She goes, I assume it was keep my effing name out of your effing mouth. And then we get a you bleeping bleep. So maybe tell us in the comment section below what you think.
Gaps.
Do a little Mad Libs. Yeah. And because I assume it wasn't anything too nice. She takes the trophy and throws it not even into a pool like Peter did with Will's jacket last season.
Into a bush.
Just into the dirt. Just the disrespect. And also, come on. What are we doing? That the whole team won that. It's not even like the jacket that was just Will's. Everyone else is like, hey, I didn't say shit about you.
Everybody.
Come on. That was my trophy. I worked up. But Marlena's over there. Like, hey, I didn't do anything to you. Well, I did truck you once, but that wasn't personal. I scored all 3 touchdowns. So, like, that's more of a statement to Marlena than it is to Sierra, who did nothing but fumble the ball. Yeah. But anyways, kind of like, if you're trying to be likable, either for the cameras or in front of the rest of the house, it's unnecessary. You already won the situation. He just made out with you. So that to me, she's off the rails.
Yeah, it's insane.
Well, it's like, because you're a nut bar, right? Like that to me shows like, oh, you can't even approach this with any sense of rationality anymore.
Yeah. Well, and if your grand plan is to stick around, maybe throwing the trophies a bad look if Clayton finds out too. Like that's an insane move to just win the situation and then just pull that shit. Yeah, I don't know.
No class, which is hilarious that we're even entertaining the idea that she would have class for someone who went around. How do we keep I think that it should be talked about every episode, how Shanae walked around making fun of the fact that ADHD exists. Not even the fact that Elizabeth had it, made fun of the very existence of the disability. How are we not talking about this all the time? So the fact that we're surprised by her lack of class at the end of an exhibition football game seems ridiculous. But that's how we end off the episode before our preview. We get hit with a great line from Shanae saying, feels like it's me versus 14 other women right now. I mean,
it is.
It is. And B, that's the show. That's what the show is. Sorry. It doesn't have to be this confrontational unless you're literally the worst person on earth. You've made this bed and now you got to lie in it. Also, we have Marlena in the preview dropping another great quote. Did you catch that one?
I think I actually, no, you're going to have to remind me of it. I wrote down a quote. But
yeah, well, she compares, I don't have the exact wording, but she compares Shanae to herpes, which I'm sure that never gets easier to hear. That is a tough blow to the ego.
This is one of the few times I'm actually looking forward to I don't know roast? Whether it's a roast or a poetry date or whatever. I'm sure Comedy. It's a roast. Yeah, something.
Yeah.
But I'm so looking forward to that. I need to see that.
And what I'm looking forward to is that 2-on-1, because we haven't had a 2-on-1 in a long time. It feels like it was before match season. No, that's not, because it would have been with Victoria, and
Peter
it wasn't.
Definitely had a 2-on-1. Right?
Think so, yeah. It's been a while. It's been a while, and they always deliver. Oh boy, always delivers. Now, here's a question for you though, because look, the great thing is about the 2-on-1 this time too. I don't even think it's going to be petty in terms of shrimp gate, hot tub gate. I think it's just going to be, we called Clayton a golden retriever. I think this is just going to be two pit bulls going for each other's throats. I think they're going to go, nope, let's skip the pleasantries. I'm attacking your character right to your core. I'm attacking your heart, which is, we sound like absolute Neanderthals, but that's what I want from a 2-on-1. I just want two dudes or two ladies just absolutely like who despise each other going to battle. So let's dive into the prediction now before we get into our roses and thorns, Gary. Mm-hmm. How far do we think Shanae goes? Because we get the audio of them on they're on that stage, which we see Genevieve there. So it's clear that that's not the final two. Yeah. That's Shanae and Genevieve, I believe, up there. And he says, I was intimate with both of you, which can't be the case. It can't be. There's not enough time in a group date to pull that off.
Well, and I think that audio is from something unrelated.
I agree. Yeah. I think that gets dubbed in. I think that's completely irrelevant. I think
actually, it's crazy how much they let us astray with this pillar thing where they're like upstairs. I thought there was 3 women the whole time. Every teaser, there was 3 women.
I still dude. Now I'm confused because
I can't remember, but then all of a sudden now we know it's 2-on-1.
Maybe it's not. We'll see. But I assumed it was a 2-on-1 because Genevieve is up there.
Yeah.
And why would they show that she made it through? But I also thought it was 3 women. So we don't need to get too into the weeds. But I know what you're saying. Mm-hmm. I think the viewers will too, because it was an iconic preview. They're tricking us all over the place.
They are.
But do you think he sleeps with Shanae? Let's just cut to the chase. Maybe not before the 2-on-1, but at all.
But at all, if she sticks around, 100%, yeah. Like I guarantee.
How far? So how far do you think she goes? Let's just.
This isn't how far we want her to go.
No, oh God, no. How far do we want her to go? 2 weeks prior.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm worried because I think she might stick. Like we're 4 out of 9 right now. Week 4, week 3, week 4.
4. Week 4
out of 9. I think she might stick around to like 5 or 6. Like,
oh, brother.
I think 6, and I hate.
So we're talking almost hometowns.
Almost, yeah. I don't. She's not top 4. No chance.
Oh, dude! At that point, I may just want to even meet her family, see where she came from.
At that point, I'm all in. Like,
let's just ride it out.
Let's get her to the end.
Let's see this origin story. Yeah. Where does that monster come from? Oh my God. Yeah, dude. I don't think she makes it to hometowns. I think
week 6 is her cutoff.
But I know what I'm worried about is I think we're both in agreement here. She's gonna make it through this 2-on-1 because. Yeah. The problem is Genevieve is gonna. I think Shanae is gonna keep playing the victim hard. Genevieve is gonna come across as I don't love to use this word because whatever. I think it has a negative connotation with women a lot of the times. But I think she's gonna come across as aggressive and kind of like therefore maybe a bit mean. Even though
I think that's maybe what Elizabeth came off as like Clayton. Clayton saw her as like kind of
like when she put her hand on his shoulder and saying like, "Does this seem like bullying?" To me, I was like, "Oh no!" I think he sees that as like patronizing and belittling. Yeah, and so I think Genevieve is going to take on a slightly different approach where she's just going to be screaming at Shanae and Clayton, but it's going to have a similar result. So I don't think she's going to be the Dragon Slayer. I think it's going to take someone he really actually has a connection with because he didn't have one with Elizabeth. He didn't have one with Genevieve. I think it's going to take like a Rachel or a Sarah. I can see Sarah maybe speaking up. Susie seems to be very much like away from the drama.
Susie's not going to speak on this. Guaranteed.
I mean, we didn't see her all episode.
Yeah, she's been so uninvolved. Same with Teddy, obviously, and that's to their detriment. Sadly.
Well, those are the good signs a lot of the time, though, right? Like
it is.
That,
it is. If you
even
make
in the
it
editing,
through. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I think we're stuck with her for a little bit longer.
So what are you saying? I'm
Let's
saying week 6. You're saying
I'm saying this is week 4, so I'm saying week 6. So she makes it through next week.
yeah.
Um, I think week 6. I'm praying. I don't even want to like really flirt with the idea of her going
In
into
an ideal world,
Oh,
in an
dude.
ideal world, she goes home 2 weeks ago. But in our ideal reality, she goes home at this 2-on-1, and we're
I
done
don't
with
think
her.
that's happening.
But I
dude.
don't think so either. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's dive into our roses and thorns to end off an episode that, look, I guess I was entertained. Didn't I need, dude? I lost brain cells. I know this show. It's not educational, or it's not highbrow culture, but the drama is normally a bit more substantial than this. At least we're talking
Yeah,
hot
that's
tubs
the
and
problem.
shrimp.
If it was more interesting drama, I could maybe get behind it. But it's worse than Victoria. Even Victoria was more interesting than this.
She's just so nutty, dude. She's
Yeah.
crazy. This woman's nuts. She's crazy. But let's start with a negative and try to end on a positive, because I watched the episode and I was entertained for definitely parts of it. So let's give some shine at the end. But to kick us off, what was your thorn? What are you cutting from this episode?
Clayton, unfortunately. Like, I know Shanae's
Fair
the
enough,
problem,
dude.
but man,
Yeah.
he really took 3 steps back in my eyes from
Yeah.
the last 2 episodes. I was praising him. I was happy with like kind of his resolution, conflict, kind of decision making. But he royally fucked it on this episode.
I almost did the same thing, and then I was like, hold up. I don't know if I can cut the Bachelor himself.
Yeah.
Producer Gary says, "Oh yes, you can.
Oh, you can.
Oh yes, you can." And I respect it. I respect it. Okay, great call. I didn't want to just go Shanae because it's such low hanging fruit, so I'm going to go specifically with the trophy throw. Didn't like that at all. And maybe because I always go multiple, I'm going to go Sierra in football. How are you almost blood? You have the MVP. All you got to do is literally be able to take the snap.
Yeah.
And whoever snap on the ball, you two, like, figure it. I'm going to go, honestly, all of Marlena's teammates. Like, help her out a little bit. But what are you going with for your rose?
My rose is going to be the Bachelor Bowl, just as an idea. Just as a concept, as a reoccurring thing. I actually love it. And Jesse Palmer on commentary is like a match made in heaven. Like, it's so
incredible. Because
good.
he's a football guy. He's the Monday morning quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense. Yeah.
I was gonna do an impromptu rose and give it to him. So that's a great call, Gary. Great call. I said Marlena, obviously electric lines, great personality. I hope to see her on Paradise. I'm praying, because I don't know if her and Clayton have just had enough interactions. I actually think they'd be kind of a great match if they had the chance to talk.
Like, if they do get the chance, I think she's a threat to go
totally.
far. But
we just haven't seen enough, and I think at this point we're starting to get into the one-on-ones.
Yeah.
We're kind of being fed the narrative of someone who's supposed to go on to win it already, be it a Susie, a Teddy, a Rachel, a Sarah, Serene, and I think honestly that might be it so far. Maybe a Gabby is an outside shot, but yeah, we'll see. But besides Marlena, I'm gonna end it off. Give it to Elizabeth, man. Like, I know we said she came up, like, she didn't approach it well with Clayton, but I get why she came off as a bit of a little patronizing, because she's dealing with an impossible personality.
Yeah.
And she never stood a shot. She seems very nice, obviously, beautiful woman, and seems to have a great personality, and would love to see her again.
Elizabeth for Bachelorette, are you on that side?
I don't know if we know, but I saw some stuff swirling around.
I saw a lot
of
people saying.
A lot of people saying that on Twitter. Don't know.
Definitely
if we know
Paradise. 100% Paradise.
Definitely Paradise, and I think that's what I'm sticking with. I think we got enough great contestants from this season that I'd rather see, like a Serene. I would love to see as a Bachelorette if she doesn't win it. Susie might be great, although we already had Hannah Brown, but like a Rachel,
but Hannah
or a
Brown
Sarah,
2.0 would be so.
Hannah Brown 2.0.
So
But could that lead to a Peter Weber 2.0? Because
It
that's
could.
a dangerous game.
It
We
could.
can't get into the
I
Bachelor
mean, we're getting a
multiverse.
Peter Weber 2.0 right now. So.
Got him.
Ooh.
Got him. But guys, let us know your thoughts below on a wild, wild, wild episode. We want to know all your thoughts as well. Rate, review, subscribe. It helps us out so much. Tell a friend. We have so much fun doing this, so we want to be able to communicate and share the show with as many people as possible and have a great time with the community. But again, thank you so much for listening. Gary, thank you for joining as always and enduring this episode with me, my man.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's
All right.
It's my pleasure to endure this shit with you.
And remember, before we sign off,
A weapon
Producer
never
Gary.
flies at night.
hell yes, my man. Thank you. Peace.